Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call to order this June 4th, 2024 meeting of the Pierce County Council. The time is 3:01 p.m. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Campbell.
Here.
Councilmember Kruger.
Here.
Councilmember Dunson. Here. Councilmember Herrera.
Here.
Councilmember Hitchin.
Here.
Councilmember Morell.
Here.
Councilmember Mello.
Here.
You have 7 members present.
We have all 7 members present and a quorum. Item number 3 is our Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, our moment of silence, and our land acknowledgement. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, led by Vice Chair Campbell, followed by a moment of silence dedicated to our men and women serving overseas in the military, and then the land acknowledgement, read by Vice Chair Campbell.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
With liberty and justice for all.
We acknowledge that we are on the traditional homelands of the Coast Salish tribes. Coast Salish people have lived on and stewarded these lands since time immemorial and continue to do so today. We recognize that this land acknowledgement is one small step towards true allyship, and we commit to uplifting the voices, experiences, and histories of the indigenous people of this land.
Thank you, Vice Chair Campbell. We're now at section 4, which is the approval of our agenda. To make sure everyone is following, we did add a resolution to our agenda this afternoon after discussion at our noon study session. It is Resolution 2024-171, which is an emergency resolution of the Pierce County Council appointing an individual to serve on the Roy City Council Position 1, filling an existing vacancy and declaring an emergency. That is the first item and only item under Resolution Section 8 of our agenda. In addition to the other business, let's come back to approval of the agenda. Are there any objections to approving today's agenda as presented? Seeing no objection, the agenda is approved. On today's council agenda, there will be multiple opportunities for public comment. On the consent agenda, you may provide comment on any final action item. This does not include items placed on the consent agenda simply for introduction and scheduling. On today's consent agenda, there are 6 grants for approval and 1 appointment resolution for final consideration. Under Section 8 of the agenda, you may provide public comment on the 1 resolution listed that I mentioned before, the appointment to the Roy City Council. And finally, under Community Forum, there will be an opportunity to address the Council on any topic that is not on today's agenda. For information on the rules for public participation, please review the bottom of page 1 of today's agenda. So that brings us to Section 5. We have the consent agenda before us. Does any member wish to remove any item from the consent agenda? Vice Chair Campbell.
Chair, I would move approval of the consent agenda as amended, moving item C to A to section 9.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adopt the consent agenda with the exception of removing item C2A, section 8 of our agenda, resolutions. This is a public hearing on the remaining items on the consent agenda. There are no members of the public here in council chambers, so we'll move to the Zoom room. Mr. Weinsberg.
Yes, Mr. Chair. For any members of the public who wish to provide comment on any final action items, press the raise hand icon in Zoom or *9 on your telephone keypad. And there are no hands at this time, Chair.
Seeing no hands, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the council. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll on the consent agenda?
Councilmember Kruger.
Aye.
Councilmember Dunson. Aye. Councilmember Herrera.
Aye.
Councilmember Hitchin.
Aye.
Councilmember Morell.
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell.
Aye.
Councilmember Mello.
Aye.
The result of the roll call vote is 7 ayes and 0 nays.
On a vote of 7 ayes and 0 nays, the consent agenda is adopted. Section 6 is messages from the executive and other county elected officials. We have several messages from the executive transmitting the following ordinances which were approved and signed on May 28th, 2024. They included ordinance 2024-515, which was an ordinance of the County Council vacating a portion of Snellstrom Bush County Road. The executive signed ordinance 2024-519, which was an ordinance of the County Council granting a non-exclusive franchise to the City of Ording for the location of sewer lines in the City of Ording. And finally, the executive signed ordinance 2024-520, which was an ordinance of the County Council granting a non-exclusive franchise to the City of Ording for the location of water lines within the City of Ording. Under Section 7, proclamations, recognitions, awards, and presentations, there are none today. That does bring us to Section 8, resolutions. We have Resolution 2024-169, which was removed from the consent agenda before us. Councilmember Hitchin for a motion, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move adoption of R 2024-169.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 2024-169. Madam Clerk, please read the title.
Proposal number R 2024-169, a resolution of the Pierce County Council confirming the appointment of one new member to the Pierce County Conservation Futures and Open Space Citizens Advisory Board.
Thank you. Mr. Wainsbury, do you see Ricky? What am I missing? Oh, there. I'm sorry. I'm a little confused by our Zoom room. Thank you very much. Ricky, thank you for joining us. We have the benefit of your written materials in our packet, our council packet today. We're grateful that you're here, and we would move it to you to briefly introduce yourself and share why you wish to serve.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Hitchens, thank you so much for supporting me in this endeavor. I moved here 9 years ago, vowing that I would return to Washington after teaching for 1 year at PLU. And I came back. I knew one person. My goal was to become actively involved as a volunteer to help contribute to the success of all the efforts that Western Washington makes to provide a healthy and sustainable environment. And for me, being appointed to this group particularly, keep in mind, open space in Texas means something very different than it does in Western Washington. I'm very honored, and I look forward very much to serving the county. Thank you.
Thank you for that introduction and your willingness to serve. Are there any questions for Ricky before we open up for a public hearing? I don't see any. This is a public hearing on this appointment to the Pierce County Conservation Features and Open Space Citizens Advisory Board. Again, no members of the public here in council chambers. Mr. Weinsbury, anyone in our Zoom room?
Yes, sir. For any members of the public who wish to provide comment on proposal number R 2024-169, press the raise hand icon in Zoom or star 9 on your telephone keypad. And I see no hands at this time, Mr. Chair.
Seeing no hands, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the council. Are there final remarks by council members? Councilmember Hitchin.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Ricky, for your willingness to serve on this. I was thrilled that you applied when the position came open, and truly appreciate your willingness to bring your very unique background. And when I was reading through your materials, I was rather surprised, and I had not realized how much you had done. I just knew a couple of blurbs, and it was pretty extensive. So just truly appreciate your background and willingness to serve in this capacity and bring your lens, both from inside Pierce County and outside Pierce County, to how we can do things here in our wonderful home. So thank you for serving District 6 and the county as a whole. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands. Ricky, thank you very much. This is important work, and they make very important recommendations to the County Council. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll on Resolution 2024-169?
Councilmember Denson.
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera.
Aye.
Councilmember Hitchin.
Aye.
Councilmember Morrell.
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell.
Aye.
Councilmember Krueger.
Aye.
Councilmember Mello.
Aye.
The results of the roll call vote is 7 ayes and 0 nays.
On a vote of 7 ayes and 0 nays, the resolution is adopted. Thank you again, Ricky. We have proposal R 2024-171 before us. Mover for a motion, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move Resolution 2024-171 for consideration.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 2024-171. Madam Clerk, please read the title.
Proposal number R 2024-171, a resolution of the Pierce County Council appointing blank to serve on the Roy City Council, Position 1, filling an existing vacancy and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Ms. Long, to brief the council.
Thank you and good afternoon. As stated in the title, this is a resolution appointing an individual to serve on the Roy City Council to fill an existing vacancy. That vacancy was created by the resignation of Rachel Chavez effective February 5th of 2024. Under state law, in a nonpartisan vacancy where one position is vacant, the remaining members of the governing body shall appoint a qualified person to fill that vacancy. The statute further provides that if the governing body fails to appoint a qualified person to fill the vacancy within 90 days of the occurrence of the vacancy, then the county legislative authority shall appoint a qualified person to fill the vacancy. The Roy City Council was not able to appoint a qualified person to fill that vacancy within 90 days, and therefore the authority to make that appointment is now with the county council. A qualified candidate under both the state constitution and state statute is someone who is 18 years of older, has lived within, in this case, the Roy City limits for at least 1 year, is a registered voter, is a current resident of the city, and is a citizen of the United States and the state of Washington. So those are the statutory and constitutional qualifications. If the county legislative authority fails to appoint a qualified individual within 180 days of the occurrence of the vacancy, so in this case that would be August 4th would be the deadline, the county legislative authority or the remaining members of the governing body of the city may petition the governor to make that appointment. The person who is appointed shall serve until a qualified person is elected at the next election at which a member of the governing body normally would be elected. The person elected shall take office immediately and serve the remainder of the unexpired term. So the county council's rules of procedure set forth the process by which you might make this appointment. And that is at section 128-180B, relative to nonpartisan, non-judicial elective offices. The code requires that the council provide notice of the vacancy and an invitation to apply to be published in the official county newspaper and a local newspaper, and also on the county website. All those things have been done. It also requires that an ad hoc committee be appointed to review applications. In this case, as we'll find out, there was only one application. And that the council interview the candidates in a meeting open to the public and approve the appointment or make the appointment by resolution. Notice was published in both the News Tribune and the Nisqually Valley News and on the county's webpage. The announced deadline for applications was the close of business on May 31st, so last Friday. And the council received one application for the position in response to those announcements. That candidate is Edmund Dunn, and his information is contained in your packets. And he is a qualified candidate under the law from the information that we have received. And so the reason for the emergency here is that the city council has been unable to conduct its essential business because of a lack of a quorum. It's been having trouble, and they cannot conduct business with only 2 members. And so filling the vacancy in position 1 is really urgent to the continuity of critical city business, and that is the basis for the resolution being an emergency today. And just as far as process goes, the council is authorized by both the OPMA and its rules of procedure to go into executive session to discuss the qualifications. The interview and the actual approval or appointment of the on the resolution must be done in a meeting open to the public. And there are 2 blanks in the resolution, so at the appropriate time, the council will make a motion to fill in the blank or not, and then take a motion to approve the resolution as amended. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there questions for Ms. Long? Thank you for briefing us, Ms. Long, not only on why we're here today with this action in front of us, but also why it is a valid emergency. We were planning on doing this later in July after some more process. However, as Ms. Long indicated, it's really come to our attention that the city of Roy doesn't have the quorum to do critical business, and so this is brought forward in an emergency manner so that we can see if the county council is prepared to consider this appointment today. So I don't see any hands. The next few steps here this afternoon will soon turn to Edmund Dunn to conduct an interview. We'll ask Mr. Dunn to introduce himself, share why he wishes to serve, any other information he wishes us to know about him. Mr. Dunn, please know, and public, please know that we have the benefit of written application materials that were submitted by our deadline, so we have those written materials. So we'll do an interview conversation with Mr. Dunn. Then we will open it up for public comment. So we'll open it up for a public hearing for public comment after the interview. And then I anticipate the council going into a brief executive session and then coming back and seeing what the council wishes to do. So those are the next few steps. So, Mr. Dunn, thank you for making time to be with us. We see you in our Zoom room. We would invite you to introduce yourself and share why you wish to serve. Again, we have the benefit of your written material, so thank you for providing that ahead of time, and welcome.
Thank you, and thank you for hearing me today, and thank you to Councilwoman Kruger for championing me and for championing the city of Roy. Roy is a small town, but I think that there's a lot to offer there. As you've read, I have a history of service. I served 20 years in the United States Army as an intelligence analyst and a Russian linguist. And after moving to Washington in 2022 and ending up in Roy, we really like the town, and I wish to support the town. And I believe that my history of service is something that has given me the experience needed to help move things forward. Something that I learned in the Army was that when you have a job to do, that is the most important thing, and that you can put aside the personal and really focus on getting that job done. And there are things that need to be done for the city of Roy. And I really hope to be able to contribute to the future of Roy. And because that's important. Every town deserves a council and leadership that can serve the people of that town. And in my way, I want to contribute to that. And I look forward to the opportunity to work with Mayor Ivey and with the rest of the city council to help move things forward. I think it's a great opportunity, and I hope we can get things moving in the right direction.
Thank you, Mr. Dunn, very much. Thank you for your willingness to serve, and thank you for being here. And again, we have your written materials. Let me open it up to the county council to see what questions any member has of Mr. Edmund Dunn. Councilmember Coover.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Mr. Dunn, for your willingness to serve. And we met a few months ago, and I very much appreciated meeting you and your family. You're great. My question is, looking at your background, and thank you for your service, I'm looking at dealing with a budget of $1.5 million and above and your Russian linguist talents. How do you see involving those talents in with your job here on how they can help you as a council member?
Well, part of what I learned in the Army is, as I was promoted through the ranks, I learned how to lead. I also learned how to work with others, and working with others that often, whether I like them or dislike them, never really entered into it. And I had to focus on what our job was and what we were supposed to accomplish, and kind of put aside all of the personal differences, opinion differences, and really focus on what in the military, what we would term our mission, or what our job was. And in this case, it's what the council's job is, and that is to find solutions for the problems or issues that the city of Roy faces. Right now, the city of Roy faces several problems. One of is problems with the water system. There's problems with getting more revenue into the town. We are on a heavily trafficked state route, which can be problematic at times, just due to the sheer volume of traffic coming through. And so helping deal with some of these problems, I can leverage the problem-solving skills that I learned, the research skills that I learned to help find solutions, and also the teamwork that I learned to work with the other council members and with the mayor to find and put into action solutions to these issues. And sometimes those solutions may not be easy solutions. Sometimes it may just be a matter of finding what that solution is buried in the back of a website someplace in the fine print. And it's just a matter of digging through. And that, as an intelligence analyst and a Russian linguist, doing analysis is often a question of digging through vast amounts of information, looking for that one nugget that will tell you the answer, or at least reveal enough of the answer that you can actually take action on it. And in this case, that's what I can leverage to help move the city council forward, or move the city forward, rather. And I also think, having worked with budgets, dealing with a budget of $1.5 million in the Army that's peanuts. But for a city the size of Roy, that is a pretty healthy budget. And I think it gave me an awareness of fiscal issues, how to look at money coming in and money going out, how to balance those, and how to consider what priorities are, especially when you have limited revenue and you have to figure out how are we going to spend the limited money that we have in the best way possible, and also how can we potentially gain more income, whether that's through revenue of some sort or through finding grants that we may be eligible for, or being aware of potential new sources of income, like the EPA's new program for PFAS contamination, that may be something that can be leveraged in the city of Roy. I don't know. I know that's a brand new program, and there's going to be a lot of details to come out of that. But being aware of things like that, and what's happening, and learning how we get able to leverage that for the city of Roy is important.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Coover. Councilmember Denson.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your service and for being willing to step up. I think you may have answered this in Councilmember Kruger's, in the response to Councilmember Kruger's question. My question was, are there a couple of initiatives, a couple of projects that you're particularly excited about working on in Roy? And you mentioned the water system. Thank you for mentioning PFAS. That's something of great interest to a number of us here on council and interest and concern. So I'm glad to know you're aware of that. I still mention it to people and they look at me like, what's PFAS? And I'm like, yikes. So I'm very, very glad you're aware. You mentioned revenue coming into town. If there's anything else you want to elaborate on, if not, that's fine. But as a city council member previously, I certainly went in with some ideas of projects that I wanted to get done. And I'm just curious if you had anything else to add.
Other things that have been under my awareness is public safety, especially when it comes to emergency management. I mean, as wildfires have become more prevalent, especially if they've moved, especially in Western Washington, which I think has caught everybody a little bit by surprise in the day of climate change. You know, they're much more common in the Intermountain West, but over in this part of Washington, they haven't been as common in the past. But in the past couple of years, we've seen a lot of wildfires in this part of the state. So how can we strengthen our community in the event of a wildfire? And wildfires don't necessarily have to be enormous events like what you see in California or in the Intermountain West. You know, an 8,000 acre wildfire could reduce the city of Roy to nothing. Mm-hmm. And so being aware of programs that we can leverage and working with the county and the state and potentially FEMA to help improve our response and also to help mitigate things ahead of time, whether it's through getting money for the community and for community members to help reduce fuels. I know that in the mayor's last open house that Pierce County Emergency Management was there, and that was one of the things that was brought up. And I was really interested in that because that is a very pertinent threat to everybody's home, and homes are important, and we need to protect those. And if there's things that we can do to help, get people resources, and resources don't necessarily mean money. Sometimes it's just getting them information and making sure that they get the information they need or the access to information they need so that they can be prepared, then that's something that we can do.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Herrera.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Dunn, for stepping up here. I've been in your situation before where I was appointed to this council and had to go through all these questions. So I just have one question for you, and if you can put it in a quick summary. My question is, what specific skills and experiences do you possess that make you well suited for the role as a city council member, and how do you believe that these qualities will contribute to effective governance and representation of Roy?
I think I draw.
How many questions was it?
It was one question, so just, what skills you have
What skills do you have? There you go.
and experiences that you possess that will help you be a better person for representing people in Roy. My summarization of that.
That was better.
You were nice in that.
You've been in the military. You've had long questions like this before. So here you go.
Oh yeah, more than a few. I think I draw on several things. Right now, I'm currently working as a contractor, as a software engineer for the VA, and as a disabled veteran, the VA is also my healthcare provider. So it's kind of an interesting situation where I am working on the digital solution that I use for my healthcare. and for a lot of other things with the VA. And working on a daily basis with various stakeholders throughout the VA who are trying their best to ensure that good, current digital services are delivered to veterans when they're needed, even though often these VA employees are hamstrung by either bureaucracy or lack of money. We have to come up with creative solutions to how we can deliver these services. And it is a unique problem set dealing with, federal government programs like this. And it's also a very, very important problem that we have to solve. And since I retired in 2013 from the Army, I've seen how far they've come from a very, I would call it very bare bones website to now I'm able to do just about everything I need over the internet. I refill prescriptions, make appointments, find out the status of my education benefits that I qualified for, et cetera, through the VA. And so often it is very similar to trying to herd cats, trying to bring the stakeholders together because they all have very disparate missions that they have to accomplish. And we have to bring them together and get them moving kind of on the same path because it's all going out through the website at va.gov. And so they can't really move cross purposes. We have to bring them together and keep them moving kind of together so that their solution, their requirements are being answered in a fashion that is a good answer, that provides what they need, but also moves in step with the other solutions for the other stakeholders throughout the VA. And it is a daily, I wouldn't say struggle, because it's not really a struggle, but it is a constant conversation. It requires intense collaboration that we need to maintain open communications with everybody and include everybody in the discussion so that we can make sure that in the end, the veteran is getting access to the services that they need. And this is very much like what I would be doing on city council. It's bringing people together, trying to keep everybody moving in the same direction, even though everybody has different thoughts and ideas. But ultimately, we have to come up with solutions to meet the needs of the citizens of Roy. And not everybody's going to necessarily agree on the solution, but ultimately we have a job to get done. And of course, as a senior non-commissioned officer in the Army, I learned that there are times to be directive when you have to just tell people, go do this, do it now, don't ask questions. But there's also times when you step back and you explain why you're doing the things that you do, because people have to understand the thought processes of what's going on. Some of that so that they can learn, and some of that so that they can understand the context that surrounds things. And that's why communication, collaboration, and discussion are so important. And it's important, as important on a city council as it is in anything else, because the city council is a group of people that have different ideas on how to solve problems. And they also have different ideas on what's what problems are more pressing than others. And I hope to be able to provide more solutions, more ideas on what those solutions are or could be, and then also through discussion and collaboration and open communication, bring the council together and move those solutions forward and so that we can actually take action on them.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Morrell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Dunn, for stepping forward. And just kind of curious, what's the population of Roy?
Last time I checked, it was a little over 800.
Okay, so it's definitely falls under a small town jurisdiction.
Yes.
Okay, I see that you're the only application.
Yes.
Okay, and you've been through this process before, I think, in going before the council. And I guess you've kind of answered some of the question, but I just want to make sure that you're totally aware of what you're getting into here.
I think I am.
Like I say, I've got a lot of small towns, and it is very difficult to get council members to, one, go through the election process, two, to stay in that role for the duration of their term, just because they are small towns and they are unique when it comes to trying to govern small towns. So obviously you are the sole applicant here, and but I just kind of wanted to just, get a better understanding of making sure you kind of understand the dynamics at play here.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember
You're
Morrell.
welcome.
Vice Chair Campbell.
Thank you. I think Councilmember Morrell asked my first and third questions I was going to ask. So I will, due diligence, I think it was covered that you do qualify under the state and city requirements to hold the office. Wondering if there's any disclosable conflicts of interest that you may have, or if you have any family members that work for the city of Roy, or any boards or commissions within the city of Roy.
No, I don't have any family members that are involved in the city of Roy governance or leadership, and I don't have any conflicts of interest.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice Chair Campbell. Well, Mr. Dunn, I don't see any other hands, so that's going to conclude our interview and discussion with you. Thank you again for putting your name forward and going through this process and previous processes, and your willingness to serve. We're going to open up now for a public hearing. So this is a public hearing on the appointment of an individual to serve on the Roy City Council Position 1 to fill an existing vacancy and declaring an emergency. You'll have 3 minutes to make your comments. There's still no members of the public here in council chambers, so we're going to move to our Zoom room.
Yes, sir. For any members of the public who wish to provide comment on proposal number R 2024-171, press the raise hand icon in Zoom or *9 on your telephone keypad. And at this time, I see no hands, Chair.
Thank you. Mayor Ivey, not to put you on the spot, but this is your opportunity to provide comment if you wish. You do not have to, but this is the moment to do so if you wish.
Raise hand icon, but it didn't do anything.
Would you like to speak, Mayor?
Yes, please.
Please go ahead. We're grateful you're here.
Here we go. I just want to speak a little bit about Ed, and he has been involved in our community events with his family and has shown a great interest in our community, and he brings forward a lot of great ideas, and I think that he is going to be a very beneficial member of our team to help bring everyone together and to move the city forward in a better projected timeline. And I think that he has a lot to contribute in a positive way. So I just want to thank Ed for continuing to ride this train with me, and I'm excited to find out the outcome of the council's decision on this.
Thank you for being with us, Mayor.
And I see no hands this time, Chair.
Seeing no hands, we're going to close the public hearing and bring it back to the council. Council, we did indicate that we would do an executive session, and so I'm going to encourage us to do that. I'll ask us to see if 15 minutes will be enough. Is there any suggestion for longer than 15 minutes? 1-5. 10 minutes. 10 minutes. I'm hearing 10 minutes. So let's do 10 minutes. Ms. Long, can you state publicly the purpose of the executive session, please?
Yes, thank you. So this would be an executive session authorized by RCW 4230-110-1H. The purpose is to evaluate the qualifications of a candidate for appointment to an elective office. The statute further provides that any interview of such candidate and final action appointing a candidate to an elective office shall be in a meeting open to the public.
Thank you, Ms. Long. So we're going to be in executive session for that purpose for 10 minutes. So we will be back at 3:53. 3:53. Members, we're going to move to the Tahoma conference room, and we will be back at 3:53. We're in recess. Well, welcome back from our executive session. The council had an opportunity to discuss the qualifications of individuals for this appointment. Let me open it up for any discussion, remarks by council members. Is there any discussion or remarks? Councilmember Hitchin.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to thank Mayor Ivy and Mr. Dunn for continuing through this process. The council took this seriously, figuring out a way to advertise and get the information out there. We established a committee that now will not have to meet, but we really feel like we have a qualified candidate here, and just want to show our appreciation for taking this seriously and stepping up and being willing to step into public service. And I will turn it over to my colleagues to see if they have an amendment to the proposal today. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Hitchin. Are there any other discussion or remarks? Vice Chair Campbell.
I just also want to join with Councilmember Hitchin. Appreciate Mr. Dunn putting his name forth and sticking with it. And it is, some people sometimes think that an appointment is the easy way into elected office, and that's not always true. Sometimes the scrutiny can be pretty extensive, and so I really do appreciate you putting your name forward and standing for appointment. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Campbell. Councilmember Morell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'll echo the comments that my fellow electeds have stated. I will acknowledge that Mayor Ivy and Edmund Dunn, I appreciate your tenacity. I appreciate you holding an elected office as mayor. It's not easy to deal with a lot of the things you have to deal with pertaining to a small town. And Mr. Dunn, I assume you're going into this wide-eyed and ready to deal with the challenges that you know that are in front of you. And I appreciate your desire to do that. So thank you. Thank you both. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Herrera.
Thank you, Chair. And I just want to echo also my colleagues of what they said also. I do want to acknowledge that the council, when they make their decision today, we can or cannot, vote in somebody today. You are a qualified candidate. What I observed today with the questions from all the council members, that you answered them pretty detailed and concise, and you are a qualified applicant, and appreciate you stepping up, and I look forward to what the council decides today. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Krueger.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to reiterate how much I appreciate that you stepped forward on this, because generally when there's a position that opens and no one is filling it out, the question is, why would I want to do something nobody else wants it? You would think there would be a flood of people that want to get into this position to serve. And so it just has all that much more meaning that you're willing to do this and, the lone person to apply. But it could be because Mayor Ivy is so much fun to work with. So maybe that was the draw. So anyway, thank you again for making this application. It's been an enjoyable process. It has. And I look forward to what we do. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Krueger. Councilmember Denson.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So I was on the committee that didn't get to meet, and we were initially charged with vetting the applicants and making a recommendation to the full council. But as we've heard, Mr. Dunn is the sole applicant for this position. This is an unusual position for the county council to be in. I don't know that this happens very often. Usually we would prefer that the city council, from whatever jurisdiction is dealing with this situation, make its own appointment. But it did come to us, and it was our responsibility to choose someone who was qualified and we felt was thoughtful and wanted to serve in good faith. And from the materials that Mr. Dunn has provided and the questions that were asked and he responded to, I feel confident that he is familiar with the issues facing the city of Roy. He mentioned, increasing wildfire dangers in Western Washington, and Roy certainly is in the area that would certainly be of concern, as is a lot of Pierce County. He mentioned understanding emergent challenges with water quality, which is something that is really important for the health of residents. He mentioned public safety and the safety of their road systems and traffic. So I definitely got the impression that he's thoughtful and has shown perseverance, which is definitely a quality that's important for an elected official. So as a member of the committee, I would like to make a motion to insert the name of Edmund Dunn in the blank in Proposal R 2024-171, as well as in the title. And I will look to council to make sure that I've covered all the bases. Yes. Do we have a second for that?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we add the name Edmund Dunn to the blanks in Resolution 2024-171, which is appointing a member to the Roy City Council Position 1, filling in an existing vacancy and declaring an emergency. We'll take a voice. Well, let me ask if there are any other remarks on the amendment in front of us before we take a voice vote. Any other remarks? I'll be voting in favor. I add comments from my colleagues. We do not have to act today. If we do not think that this is in the best interest of Roy, we could defer and continue to seek applicants. But as my colleagues indicated, with all the information in front of us and our time spent together with you, Mr. Dunn, today, I too am very encouraged by your willingness to serve, your background, and your commitment to public service, and think you're going to do quite a good job of providing some leadership for the city of Roy. So thank you very much for your willingness to serve. We're going to take a voice vote on the amendment to add Edmund Dunn to the blanks in this resolution. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. The motion is adopted. We have Proposal R 2024-171 before us as amended. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Herrera.
Aye.
Councilmember Hitchin.
Aye.
Councilmember Morell.
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell.
Aye.
Councilmember Krueger.
Aye.
Councilmember Denson.
Aye.
Councilmember Mello.
Aye.
The result of the roll call vote is 7 ayes and 0 nays.
On a vote of 7 ayes and 0 nays, the resolution is adopted. Congratulations, Mr. Dunn. We're grateful for your service. We'll see if you are grateful to us in a couple of months' time.
Thank you, Council. I appreciate it.
Good luck. Mayor Ivey, let us know what else the Pierce County Council and Pierce County can do to be of service and partnership to you.
Wonderful. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Section 9 is ordinances. There are none today. That does bring us to Section 10, Community Forum. Community Forum is an opportunity for members of the public to address the council on any topic that is of significance to or affecting Pierce County government and that did not appear on today's agenda. There is a 3-minute time limit. Please state your name if you would like it on the record and address all comments to the chair. There are no members of the public here in council chambers, so let's turn to our Zoom room. Mr. Weinsbury.
Yes, sir. For any members of the public who wish to provide comment, press the raise hand icon in Zoom or *9 on your telephone keypad. And I see no hands at this time, Chair.
Seeing no hands, we'll close the community forum portion of our meeting. That brings us to Section 11, Other Business and Announcements. Is there any other business or announcements by council members? Let's begin with Councilmember Herrera.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to bring the attention to everybody that the Pierce County Sheriff's been working on this for a long time to get the new Pierce County Sheriff Department app on your smartphone. It's an app that will serve as an innovative way for them to connect with residents, businesses, and visitors, providing information and quickly, efficiently for anybody on their smartphone. There's several different things, information, hiring info, there's an inmate roster, concealed carry information, animal control services, and a lot more. This app will also push public safety notifications to your phone, like flooding issues and things like that. Many more things out there. Crime Stopper stuff, and there are also things on the app where you can report crimes and request copies of police reports and many other things. So that's a new application for your phone, the Pierce County Sheriff's app. You can find it on the Google Play by searching Pierce County Sheriff's Washington. That's Pierce County Sheriff's Washington. And I looked it up and downloaded it, and you need to be specific on it because there is also a Pierce County, Georgia app. You don't want to get that one. So it's the Pierce County Sheriff Washington app. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Herrera. Councilmember Hitchin.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to remind many of us we have farmers markets starting to open, and I didn't know this, but I was like wondering when they were starting. I Googled it, and Pierce County, our county, has an entire list of all the farmers markets across and tells you what day of the week they are. So Lakewood's opening today, and there's a variety of others. So they're just all over the place, and I was like, oh. Yes. So anyways, if you enjoy farmers markets as much as I do and you want to figure out where there is one, they're kind of all over the place, and you probably find one almost every day of the week. So who knew? Just wanted to share.
Awesome. Thank you. And many of those farmers markets take SNAP benefits to help double your spending if you're SNAP eligible. It's a good way to get access to fresh food and help local producers stay in business. Councilmember Denson.
And Pierce County has vouchers for seniors for farmers markets too. So if there are seniors out there, thank you for bringing that up, Councilmember Hitchin. The Gig Harbor Farmers Market right downtown on the waterfront opens tomorrow, and I'd forgotten about that. So very excited about that. But I will not be there because I and all of you will be at the District 7 in-district meeting at Point Defiance Park at the Science and Math Institute. Hopefully, all of you will come join us. It's very easy. You can park right at the zoo, the Point Defiance Zoo, and walk right into the Environmental Learning Center there. And it's going to be all about our environment, everything from our working forests all the way down to our estuaries and tidelands. We've got lots of great presentations and some fun things happening. So please come out tomorrow to our District 7 in-district meeting at 6 o'clock at Point Defiance Park. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Denson. I don't see any other hands. Ms. Long, is there any other business for council this evening?
There is none today. Thank you.
With no further business before the Pierce County Council, we are adjourned. Have a good night, everybody.